Okay, welcome everybody out. We're live and recording. And last week we talked about what are you preparing for? We kind of got a mixed bag on that. If anybody wants to dredge any of that back up, this would be the time. So many things nowadays it could be.
Do you know what? I wasn't on for the last couple of weeks. We've been running hither and thither, but the thing that we prepare for is for the unknown, right? We've been through more than a year of layoffs when we lived in California. We fully rely on what we had in storage and paying our tithing and getting those blessings that we've been promised, that if you are prepared, you shall not fear. And so we do a little prep all over the place, right? We do food storage and we do financial and we do hopefully spiritual, and we do the best with our garden, even though my weeds are hip high and my tomatoes are to my ankles, right? But I think that's all part of being prepared, is learning as you go. We don't prepare because the world is coming to an end, and we don't prepare because um, frightening things are happening. It's that we've been told by prophets to be prepared and to do our best, and that we'll receive those blessings. And so that's why we prepare. And seriously, we are serious in our preparations.
I know, and I'll just if you don't mind, I'll repeat what Bill said when I asked him that question. He said y'all like to eat and want to continue eating.
That sounds like my husband.
I thought that.
And not just like rice and beans. We want to eat like real food.
So anyway, I thought that was a good answer. So anyway, on preparedness news, the market news today, the markets were broadly down today, but not by much, considering that ever since last week we spoke, the markets have been up every day, pretty substantially, most of them. So um, um, have you started your diversification? If not now, then when? The last week has been a gift, in my opinion, as an opportunity to get out of the main part of the stock market and diversify into other things that hopefully, and I'll go over some that hopefully are not correlated to the stock market in general. So but anyway, this would be a good time to get out of those S&P 500 funds and things like that, in my opinion, but just my opinion. So gold was up today, and yesterday I believe it was that it broke 2,500 for the first time. So we're still in record territory today. Goldbacks are up also, I think about 7 cents since last week this time. And silver is up about $1.50 since last week, 29.44 today. And the gold silver ratio went down a couple of points, down to 86. And I wanted to throw something out that might have an effect on silver in its future. You may know something about this, but more than I do. But Samsung introduced a new excuse me, silver solid state battery, and that could consume a lot of silver in the future, apparently, like 5 kilograms per car battery, for example. Electric car battery, that is.
I had not heard that, but
Another, even if the economy doesn't do so well, which sometimes silver doesn't do so well, this could change that scenario a little bit. So and with the gold silver ratio still being as crazy as it is, like normal historically and constitutionally, it's 20 to 1, not 86 to 1. So that skews you should concentrate most of your available resources into silver versus gold, or whatever amount you were going to put into that. You know, a lot of people say 5 or 10%, but anyway. So another big use for silver possibly. Tilt and zeros were both up nearly $1 today, and that's another thing that should not be correlated with the stock market. So, you know, market down, tilt and zeros up, long-term treasuries. So something to be aware of. I kind of prefer tilt just because it pays the dividend every month instead of quarterly like zeros does. But anyway, either one. If you're impatient, buy tilt. If you can wait a quarter, buy zeros. They pay a higher dividend. So wheat was up whopping 4 cents today to take it back to $5, and in the interim of last week, it was at $4.96, and so you know, it's really moving back and forth a lot. I'll be facetious, and so this is another gift. Don't look this gift horse in the mouth too long. You can buy wheat under $5 a bushel. It's a great investment, in my opinion. PDBA, which is agricultural commodities, were up a little bit at 35.28. And actually, that was almost $2 up since last week, which is kind of surprising. It didn't come from wheat. It must have come from one of the other agricultural commodities. PDBC was down a little bit, which is more of a broad commodity, and that's probably due to the oil and energy components of it. So anyway, both of those theoretically should do well in an inflationary environment, which we'll talk about a little bit tonight. XAR, military industrial complex, was in every one stock I follow in that, except for NOC, Northrop Grumman, were all down today, and with the market. So anytime you can buy this on a pullback, XAR, I would recommend taking advantage of that. US oil was down below $74 today, and last week I said it was down below $78. So it's come down substantially in the last week, which, while the stock market was going up, oil was going down. Now that's a contradictory indicator. One of them's wrong. I feel the stock market's wrong, but time will tell. But with this going down, it would indicate recession, not inflation or war at the moment. And I let you in on WES last week, which pays a 9% dividend, something you might be considering. It's even a better value this week. It went down about $1.50 since last week, so take that for what it's worth. Bitcoin was down into the 59,000s today, so might be a good time to consider some dollar cost averaging in that. And we've talked before about the state of Wisconsin investing in 2 Bitcoin ETFs. Now there's 8 new ETFs for Ethereum. And Ethereum was down today at 25.87, which is about $200 down since last week. Bitcoin's been pretty much flat since last week, but there are not so much rumors of wars in the Middle East still going on. A lot of people think that could flare up any day now. Have a war on fossil fuels, war on the middle class, and especially in food, medicine, and housing. Food, interest rates, and all that stuff. Speaking of house, Saturday, everything you know about, talked about this last week. about apparently Saturday, the way you buy a house changed significantly. So if you haven't been in that market in a while, something to read up on before it happens. You can't just walk in a house and open house or whatever, or go visit a house on Saturday morning, because on an urge you have to have a signed contract that you'll pay your part of the commission before you can even see a house.
And
So,
why is that?
war on cash. Always encourage everybody to use it. Use it.
Can you hear us, Winston?
I can now.
Okay.
Did I-
Tammy just said, why is that?
Why is what?
About the houses, why are they looking for signed contracts that you'll pay your part of the
There was a
closing costs?
there was a big lawsuit with the American Home Sellers or whatever it is. Can't remember what the three letters are right now, or maybe American Realtors. But anyway, they were sued over basically their business practices, and so out of that took effect this court order that they will do things differently, because they didn't feel the buyer of the house was getting represented properly. So that's what brought all this. So
I'll have to look into that more.
yeah, it's
So they have to sign a buyer has to sign a contract that they'll make sure that the realtor gets the fees. Shouldn't that be the seller?
well, the way it goes is, the selling agent and the buyer's agent, split the commission. So
Right.
yeah, I don't know whether it just says if the seller doesn't pay it, then they're on the hook for it, or not. I'm not sure. It's kind of confusing because it's new and not kind of untried. The gist of it was, though, that it will really slow down the housing market because people that thought they would just wake up one day and go out and buy a house won't be able to, and apparently it'll just slow down the works a lot,
Interesting.
which probably will be bad for prices. But I don't know. Anyway,
Thank you.
we'll see. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, on cash, yeah. Use it while you got it. Fed now is supposedly going to happen by default or by requirement right after the election. Of course, I suspect that depends on who wins the election. War on food, all over the world, seems like. War on gardens in many states, coming to a place near you. I want us to garden. War on meat. We got chipped beef now going into as a requirement. Every cow will have a chip in its ear so they can track it at all times. And there's a war on cancer that everybody just forgot about. Now there's all these turbo cancers popping up, and seem to have much going on in that arena from our medical system or our government anymore. It's my opinion. If somebody wants to talk about what that's all about after we end tonight, we can. Remind me. Seasonal information. So time to order your trees if you're going to plant them this fall. Still some things that you can propagate, air layering and other methods. Still things that can go in the fall garden. cole crops and lettuce and things like that that are tolerant to some frost. Plan the harvest. Bees are not doing very good this year. I finally got into mine this last week, and not much honey in there. In such a dry year. And,
So are you combining hives to try and get them through the winter? Are you going to start feeding them?
I will, I did put out some comb honey that I'd collected earlier that I didn't do anything else with for them.
Uh-huh.
I'll probably wait a while to see if, I mean, they're holding their own. Those that had some honey stores, you know, they'll be fine, but I'm not going to harvest until I see what happens in, you know, September.
Yeah, after fall.
And I may not harvest at all. Way things are looking. If somebody's got a lot of honey, I may just move it to another hive that doesn't.
Yeah.
Got to balance them out a little bit. But anyway, good time to order seeds for next year also, or if you can get any deals like at the co-op up here in Madison. But there's on sale for old seeds. And of course, encourage everybody to have their potassium iodine. And now we're at the point of sharing any progress anybody has made that they would like to talk about. Anybody do anything in the last week or two that it's noteworthy? It's getting almost cool enough that we don't have excuses anymore.
Yeah, it was pretty nice today.
It sure was.
Heavy dews in the morning, with it getting down below the dew point every night now, pretty much.
I did listen to the weather, and it said that next week it's supposed to be into the 90s again.
Great.
I have a question.
Okay.
Does anybody do cover crops? I'm really stinky at them. I think I want to do them every year, and I get confused every time I go to do them.
I do some occasionally, usually with crimson clover. But I generally try to more or less you know, actually plant something that I can eat instead, you know. I mean, the brassicas or radishes, you know, like the daikon radishes, you know, are a good cover crop if you just don't do anything with them, but you know, they'll just rot and make good channels down into the earth. So that's another one that it produces food if you need it, or if it doesn't, well, you don't need the food, then fine. We'll call it a cover crop now, but I usually try to plant something that's still purpose.
Okay, thank you.
It is important to kind of keep your beds covered in something, either a mulch or a, you know, and you can tarp your beds too, and put down, if you can get some broken bags of you know, cattle food or something on a good deal, or pellets of some kind. Put that down, then put a tarp over it, and the worms will come up all winter and feed on that feed, and you know, really do a good number on fertilizing your bed for you. So another idea. Okay. Speaker is going in and out on me. If I don't hear hit me with a chat. The last, I don't know, month or so ago, we talked about this this plant here that I discovered, an herb. And anybody remember what that is or know what that is? That is the heal all or self-heal.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, is that the flower?
Yeah, that's the flower of it. And then
What's right to the left of it?
that is Sericea lespedeza.
Okay, commonly known as?
A
Sericea.
weed.
No, it's well, most people consider it invasive. On a sheep operation, I consider it a good plant for the sheep because it has high in tannins and it will work as a wormer for them, for sheep or goats.
Okay,
And so I encourage it, but a lot of people think it's invasive. That's nasty. I mean, even the sheep and the goats don't really like it that much, but in a year like this, they'll eat it. And when they do, it's good for them.
okay.
But this heal all plant, which we've because it's been so dry, we haven't mowed the yard much, and I'm discovering that now that we've got that 4 inches of rain a while back. I'm discovering it in several places in the yard. It's not very tall, but anyway, it's starting to go to seed, so I'm collecting the seed heads and spreading it outside of the yard. But this thing is good for everything that ails you, supposedly.
I've been instructed not to mow it.
So anyway, that was a good find this week. And this today went down.
Oh, that looks good.
And so this is something you got to really be watchful on. The pawpaws, everybody, especially raccoons, love pawpaws. And if you wait for them to get very ripe, especially if they fall off, the raccoons will get them all before you get any. And this year I noticed we don't have a very, very heavy crop. So I guess because of the drought, but we probably, at least big ones like this, there probably wasn't more than a dozen. So gotta watch out.
Winston, are they an understory tree? Where do they like to grow?
They like to grow understory and along rivers and creeks.
So they're high water. They like a lot of water.
Yeah, although they will grow out in the sunlight if they're planted under understory their first few years. So it's kind of weird.
I've
They
seen
don't
them
like to grow in
grow out in
full
the
sun,
open.
and at least when they're young.
Do you have them growing here in the open, Mike?
I do. I have two. We'll see if they produce next year. But I first saw them growing open at a place. Can't remember. It was out on Route 7, and they had a row of them, and they were big and bushy and a lot different shape than when they're in the understory, and they were heavy producers.
Hmm.
At that point, they were probably 12 feet, probably 10 feet, 10 or 12 feet tall, but really quite wide.
Interesting.
Yeah, mine are in kind of a shady area, and I've thought about interspersing them in between my chestnut trees. Because hopefully it'll be at this point as big as the chestnut trees are getting. There'll be a fair amount of shade there.
Yeah, all the places I've encountered them wild were near rivers. Unfortunately, I have none in my woods.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't
Your
either.
house is rather high up off of the waterways also, isn't it, Mike?
Yeah. Yep, it is.
We've starting to get a few muscadines, like I said last week. Those are our European grapes have not done well at all this year. So pleased that the
Are these
muscadines have done
muscadine?
well.
That's the muscadines.
Uh-huh.
He had the sheep in that field, going up in the paddocks, going up the hill, and they've cleaned up under them, so they're not going to be so obnoxious to have to get under there to harvest. They
Oh, nice.
vine really crazy, so
Yeah,
those
good.
are cut back now by the non on them.
Yeah, I got a good browse line under them. So anyway, so tonight got a little video that about winter prices going to come down. Yeah, and then think about while we're watching this, preparedness and self-reliance are a way of life. If you can't take care of yourself, how can you help others? We don't know what we don't know, which is what we're trying to learn here tonight and other times. So you share. Hitting our own share here. Share button is right behind my volume button. It's weird. There. Okay, now you see on a YouTube.
Tara,
Yes.
Okay. So I'll just kind of break in at 3 minutes here. And so we don't have to listen. She kind of gets she's got a good point, but it takes her a while to get there.
Deal. Tell you specifically the prices, ones that have increased or decreased. Is that so? When
she's
I go
breaking up.
I'm looking at ground beef, the 27.73. I'm looking at Honeycrisp apples, a head of lettuce, white bread, jelly, coffee, the crispy oats, which are at 19.5 ounces because we are keeping up with the ounces too. Flour, sugar, eggs, whole milk, butter, Diet Coke, chicken thighs, cat litter, macaroni and cheese, marinara, dryer sheets, facial cleanser, onion mix, dog treat, cat food, peanut butter, 18 ounces, saltine crackers, fruit cocktail. So see what I did as I turned the page, I had a smaller, it gave me a bunch you buy from all keeping up with. So I started that in May, and now we get to do the price comparison. Okay, page 2. It's a lot more this time, right? Applesauce, 24 ounces, dog food cans, canned potatoes, canned mixed vegetables, canned red beans, canned tomatoes, canned corn, cake mix, canned chili, canned pinto beans, honey, chips, mild cheddar cheese block, the Tandle laundry detergent, 16 ounces, beef franks, 15 ounces, cream cheese, 8 ounces, up 6. Hello. Frozen vegetable, 12-ounce packets, olive oil, tuna, and the mayo. Okay, just give you an idea. Have people weekly or monthly. Okay, it may not be things that you like, but that's not what this is about. It's not even about what I like. It's about what most people from time to time, or a lot of the time, consume one way or another. Now, here's the thing. There are 49 items on this list. Let me go ahead and begin to tell you that only three items went down in price. 3 items went down in price. I'm going to tell you what that is. See, some of you are new to this, so you're like, well, you're jumping into something in the middle of it, but it'll make sense. Okay, a lettuce head was $1.89 the week of May. A little bit more than 3 months later. Now it's $1.85. Whoop. So your little tiny iceberg lettuce heads, which are the size of a golf ball now, have come down 4 pennies. Do you feel good? I know you do. Okay, so that's the first one. So sugar was very affordable, jumped majorly in price. Then it really hopped up to $3.09. It was $3.09 at our local Aldi back in the middle of May. Now it's $2.99. So it has come down a dime. Okay, so don't go spend all that in one spot, honey, because now you have gained what, 14 cents? But I mean, all right, the third, I got to switch pages. I got a new notebook. The next one is for mild cheddar cheese block. They were $1.99 back in the middle of May of 2020. $1.09. Kitty dog, 70 pennies. So don't go spending all those pennies all in one place. Now that is the good news, right? Oh, look, whoo, you can breathe. 14 items, however, have gone up in price. Okay, you want to know what those are? All right, let's talk about it. Where are all my arrows? See, I've got them all written out with arrows and all this. We've done all this math. Okay, Your ground beef, the cheapest there, the 27.73 has gone from $3.39. It jumped to $3.59. So all those little, what was that? How many pennies did I give you originally? I think I just took them back because that's 20 cents. I think, is that right? Right there, just took your savings right there. Okay, your white basic sandwich bread. Okay, that stuff used to be 95 cents. Then it went to 97 or 99 cents. Then it hopped to $1.29. It's been hovering at $1.29 for like a year. It's just hung out at $1.29. It's $1.35 now. $1.35. Okay, then your grape jelly. I could scream about the grape jelly. I'm not a grape jelly fan. I say this every video, but I do pick up on this from time to time because my husband really likes grape jelly. 87 cents for then it hovered at 255 for for the last year or so, just like the bread and stuff. Now it's 259. Okay. Now down to 439 in your month of May. Oh, correct. Since it's we've gone all over the place with eggs. Now I don't buy their eggs or anything like that, but I can tell it was 204, and I think we had limits. We had limits on eggs there for a while here back in the spring. Now you are up to 225. So your eggs, a dozen eggs at our local Aldi in the past 3 months has jumped 21 cents. Then you have butter. Butter goes up and down as well. We got remember $1.99. I know. Whatever. 369 in May. Now it's 379. So it's hopped up. Your dog treats, they are just, guys, when it comes to feeding your pets, ask me how I know, ask you how you know, we're getting just dragged everywhere. How are people going to be able to afford to adopt and help any animal, even their own? Anything like that, so astronomical. You pick 2, 3. I mean, just whatever, people. Okay, then applesauce has gone from $2.59. The apples did not change on. I want to food cans. This is what I used to buy for Cochise, so I absolutely kept up with the price for that because I would split it in half each day to give him his meds. $1.85. $1.85. Red beans and rice got that 81 cents to 85 cents. That's 15.5 ounce cans. Canned tomatoes, unbelievable what canned tomatoes are. 61 cents to 89 cents this past May. Now they're 95 cents for a can of tomatoes. Whatever. Canned beans, I didn't bring them up, but some of them have to buy something that is canned from Aldi that I really do in 30 ounces of the canned pinto beans. I like them because it's a bigger can, but number 2, they taste pretty decent for being canned pinto beans. I mean, we're all right, here in East Tennessee, we're pinto bean snobs. We want them, we want them fresh out of the Dutch oven off the hot fire all day. That's why we want to cook them. But if you're going to cheat, that's not a bad cheat. But they've gone from $1.55. They went up to $1.55, and then now they're $1.60. Looking at sausage back in May 4th, they be $1. It's $2.79 for the sausage. What else? Heavy whipping cream, 39 months. I've got video. Let me give you the bottom line because this is running a little bit long, but when you're dealing with 40 items, there's no way to avoid a timely video. Okay, so here's the deal. James and I did the math. He checked my math. If you add up all of these items, which are the same size, because I'm keeping up with the size, back on the week through the 17th. And the reason I have it like that is because I went twice that week. That's the week items. That's why I went back. For all, if you bought these items, one, $100.61. Okay. Today, $21.22. This doesn't include tax. We pay tax. We paid sales tax here in Tennessee. I know, but so the difference in that is $1.51. To you, that makes like okay, well, but think about this. Think about like what I said earlier. Some of these items that you might be paying $2.55, $2.65 for now, 2 years ago, you were paying 87 cents for it. We have all of this. Okay. And when you do the math a little clearer, we did. This grocery haul right here has gone up 1.26. 1.26%. That it has gone up just since prior to Memorial Day, the middle of May. We're kind of where the middle of it right now. Think about that. Think about how things jumped, hovered, and they've sort of done a little bit of this, but for the most part, most items are still creeping up. So you can tell things might be a little bit, but at the same time, you logically assess the situation. The damage is so far gone and so done. This is why people are looking at their credit, are pulling out of their and savings. And you do that enough over 1, 2, 3 years, because this kept happening. This is why we are in the position that we are in. So we're going to keep up with this. Like I said, the notepad took 3 whole sheets to get all the order. I will add in April. It's only look in theory a little bit. $1.55 for something, it might be $1.59 to you wherever you are. This is why I encourage you personally to keep up with these things. Down, take take a little notebook, write it down, and quickly keep your thumb and the pulse of exactly how bad they're lying to us. It's one thing for you to go, I know I used to pay a lot less, but like I said, it's to $2.65. What kind of jump is that? And so therefore, when you tell me, oh, I'm saving money now because it's gone from $2.65 to think back. When you prepare and you put things away, or you can, maybe you got a gift card, or there's a buy one, get one free sale or whatever. Every time you are tucking something away and rotating your pantry, you are guaranteed at this point at some point soon, you're going to be saving money. We just proved it. Like, subscribe, and share. Tell me what you think. Like I said, items were the same.
Okay. She got to the point finally. That was the whole point of this. Any thoughts about that? It seems like a good portion of the whole country doesn't understand this kind of simple thing that inflation, even though the rate is coming down, that doesn't mean prices are coming down. Be surprised how many people don't understand that. So do you think they will ever come down?
No,
No.
I do not think they will ever come down.
Yeah, I agree.
Maybe if we went into an actual deflationary time, but I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think our government has enough fiscal responsibility to ever cut their spending. So
Yeah, I agree.
when they spend, they have to create more debt. Anyway, back and still having trouble with my speaker here. Okay. This is getting aggravating here. So I shouldn't have done a new share. Or tried to do a new share anyway. Yeah. Okay. Got a new share now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this kind of goes along with something we've talked about a long time ago, the alpha strategy. And basically, this book was written in 1980, which is pretty much exactly where we're at in the economic cycle in 2024. Time of high inflation and rising prices. And this book basically is kind of the church plan, but takes a lot more things in it than food and energy. But basically, it's a food insurance plan, since we're not never know where that's going to come by. And this is some things I had written up before. Basically, the alpha strategy is a food investment, among other things, with the 3 Bs: beans, bullets, and band-aids, and maybe a fourth one, barter items. And supply side versus demand side. If you're a consumer, you're a part of the problem. If you're a producer, you are part of the solution. And so that kind of gets back with home production and things that we might be able to produce ourselves, is another way of tackling the problem, rather than just buying up supplies and holding on to them. The part of the whole thing, especially for the barter items, was to choose items that are small, lightweight, and high value, that you think people would need in a time of unusual situations like we might be facing. So, like, one of the things I brought up above was primers for ammunition. A lot of people don't feel comfortable about trading ammunition to somebody that might use it against them, but it'll take them a week or two to return those primers to you in a bad way. So something to consider, and that you could put a, 10,000 primers in a 5-gallon bucket and seal it up, and be a pretty high value item that would be in demand. It seems like ever since COVID, they've been in demand anyway. So beans and rice versus lentils or split peas. Anybody have any ideas why there would be a contrarian need for lentils and split peas versus beans to go with your rice?
No.
Well, lentils and split peas cook in about a quarter of the time of pinto beans, for example. And so if you're actually cooking them together, what you have to do is you have to put your beans on, and then add your rice, like in the last 30 minutes of cooking, after you've already cooked them for 3.5 hours or whatever. And that takes a lot of fuel for one thing, but with lentils or split peas, you can put them right in with your rice, and be done in 30 to 45 minutes. So something to consider in a time when you might not have a lot of spare cooking fuel, or if you're cooking over a rocket stove or a open fire or something. That's why I brought that up. Corn for calories versus wheat for man. Corn is much better for local production, much easier to produce. It does need some work done to it, or you need to store some niacin, because anybody know what nixtamalization is? It's where you go ahead.
No, I don't know.
Tammy, did you say something? I missed it.
She doesn't
No, it
know.
wasn't me.
Oh, okay.
It was Deborah.
Okay. That's the way the Indians and the Mexicans and people down in South and Central America treat their corn. You'll see them soaking it before the markets in a lye solution, which is actually I think I got it on here. What that is?
It's actually lime, isn't it?
It's calcium hydroxide. So, which I think is lye, actually. But anyway, they'll just label it lime down there, but it's not like field lime. It's I guess hydrated lime. So that's lime that's been cooked in the kiln. So anyway, if you soak it in that, then that'll loosen up the outside bran or whatever, and then you can grind it just in a cheap grinder compared to what you have to grind wheat in. They used to be like $49. I'm sure they're $89 nowadays, but very, very cheap compared to a $300+ wheat grinder. And of course, you can buy just massarina, which is corn flour that has already been nixtamalized, and you're kind of ready to go to make tortillas, or you can use that to make cornbread also. So something.
Our bodies digest the corn much better that way.
Yeah, and it releases the B vitamins, which keeps you from getting pellagra when you do that. Of course, you can eat things that are high in B vitamins, but like mostly that's meat and organ meats and stuff. So that might be hard to come by all the time from food storage anyway. So you set your goals for one thing that I've kind of done with production is set my goal for a year's supply of sweet potatoes, which I can do in 64 square foot bed on a good year. This year's yet to be determined. Mike, have you checked any of yours?
No,
Haven't
but I
either.
think my first year is going to be a bumper crop.
My vines look real good.
Mine
I
look,
harvested some of mine.
did you?
I did, and I saved the sweet potato leaves to and then I washed them, I dried them, and then I froze them because we use them in our house like spinach. And it
Cool.
saves me from buying spinach.
All right. Even the mature leaves are good to use that way.
Yeah. My son said the smaller ones seemed bitter to him. So
Oh, interesting. Okay.
yeah, and I was like, okay. He's the one who goes out and picks them, chops them, and cooks them and puts them in our food. So we just save them. And I thought, I don't have any spinach. My spinach kept getting eaten by those dumb little bugs. And
Yeah.
but they haven't touched the sweet potato leaves, and we eat those. So
Yeah, I have like two, probably 4 by maybe 12 sections planted, and with some space in between, and I've let them take over the space in between each other as well as between the other half of the garden. So I think it's I'm excited. I think there's going to be a ton.
Yeah, and you can harvest those right now, the leaves, and that's space in between.
All right.
So that's interesting though. I've always tended to pick the small ones, and I haven't been too crazy about the taste. So maybe I've been doing it wrong.
So Tammy, did you say that you dry them?
That's
Sorry, that's actually Brenda.
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, I don't dry them. I mean, I dried them with a paper towel. And
Okay.
then yeah, but you can
Pick
also
them in.
dehydrate them. I've done that with spinach too. You can dehydrate them, and then we put them in a canning jar, and I vacuum seal the jar, and those last for a while if you keep them out of the light.
Okay, but you just pick them and freeze them then.
I just picked them, washed them, and the reason I let them dry is otherwise they get freezer burn. You know what I mean? So I let them
Yeah.
air dry, just kind
Got
of
it.
air dry, and then I vacuum sealed them away.
All right.
that's how we learn from each other.
Yeah, I'm excited because this will be my first like decent crop of anything since moving here, and it's looking like gangbusters, at least on the leaves do.
And they're probably could start at least harvesting some to try at least any day now, I suspect. So the other thing that I just wanted to throw out there was meat rabbits versus chickens or quail. Does anybody have any of these three?
I have chickens and quail, and I've done meat rabbits, and I let that go. So I'm doing quail now.
Okay.
And I have chickens, but I just started doing quail about 2 months ago. And we're processing them and putting them on rotation so that there's always, with a 2-week gap from incubating, then I can start the next set, and then I can put them in the freezer.
They're really quick. What was the reason you quit rabbits?
I was not good at them. I also don't like them. I mean, I like the food, I just don't like the rabbit.
Okay.
And I really like chickens, and then I realized I just like birds, and I do pretty well with raising the birds. Me and rabbits didn't get along so well.
Okay.
And so that was just me going, you're not good at that, so find something you're good at so that you can sustain your family.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like the processing of rabbits, and I was one of those. Of course, I'm not doing too good on processing chickens right now either, but anyway. But the thing I wanted to bring up was rabbits versus the other two is you can pretty easily grow your own rabbit food if you just have a lawn, for example, and a bagging lawnmower, or maybe just a side discharge lawnmower and a rake. You can grow that and prunings from trees, especially fodder trees, like willows and mulberries and things like that. Most tree leaves they will eat. And, very good for them. So anyway, versus what a bag of chicken or quail feed is to become now, which is crazy.
Very expensive. Yes.
I don't feel I can come out on certainly not raising chicken eggs, for example.
Do you guys ferment feed? Because that's what saves me with my chickens and quail, is that I ferment their food, and I can keep all my costs down by doing that.
And are you fermenting whole grains or just
No, I get a bag of chicken feed. Like if you wanted to, you could ferment all of it. Like you can ferment the whole grains. Like I could ferment my goat food or my pig food or any of that. I just don't. But the quail and the chicken feed, yeah, I do ferment that because they go through, especially quail, they go through a lot of food.
Okay.
And I can keep all of that in the same budget. Even with the price hike, I can kind of keep it right where I have been for years because I ferment my feed.
because it grows in volume?
Yes. And it does. And then you get the probiotics for their gut all added into that. So they end up still being really healthy. And yeah.
Okay.
Do you use a starter for the fermenting, or do you just let it be airborne fermenting?
I'm sorry, ask that again.
Do you put any kind of a probiotic in there as a
No.
starter?
No, I don't.
You just do the regular air.
Yeah. And if I have whey left over from my dairy goats, I just add it in. It's whatever I have. But I don't necessarily do anything special. I've done it with and without. It's just whatever I have on hand.
So the whey actually adds more protein.
And it adds, all the raw, whatever the raw offers. Because I won't drink it raw just because I have health issues in the house. But they can have it raw when I strip off the milk from the goat.
Huh.
No, it's just whatever I have.
So do you, the problem I've had with wet feed, which I've been getting a lot here lately with the rain, is getting it through a feeder. So do you just put it out on a pan or something, or? For
the quail, yeah, I have the chicken, because they're small, the long tray, and I just put it in there and they pick it dry. With the chickens, it is in a pan, and that's in their chicken coop, so they have to go in, and then so that way my other animals don't get to it.
Yep. Anything else on this before we close off the recording? What goes down for the night, and